is Jalen Rose. I'm David Jacoby. We are Jalen and Jacoby. Jalen, tell everybody what is it that we
Tony
do.
and Mike, those are idols. We're the second most handsome duo in the industry. They are first because we give the people what they want.
We have an update on LeBron's availability to the Lakers. We know what Jimmy G feels about the 49ers drafting Trey Lance. We have Conway the Machine coming later, but we start with a big game last night between the Nets and the Bucks. Watching this game, it had a true playoff atmosphere back and forth. It was the Bucks who pulled away in the fourth quarter and got the win. Jalen, the way things are looking in the standings, this could be a playoff preview. What do you think about this matchup?
I want to tell everybody a secret. The Bucks have a big three. See, we're going to make sure that we give Giannis his acknowledgement as the reigning back-to-back MVP, and he's been outstanding this year. Improved his passing and improved his three-point shooting. But don't underestimate Chris Middleton, in particular in the fourth quarter yesterday. He was terrific going 6 for 6. He was the game-changing player. And again, Jacoby, he's a guy that can get his shot off the dribble. He plays mid-range. And since it isn't spectacular, high-flying above the rim, people dismiss the numbers that he puts up, in particular in crunch time. Oh, and don't underestimate Drew Holiday.
Talk to him.
Absolutely. He's going to give you that defense. He's going to give you that size for a guard that can play near the basket and a steady three-point shooter. So again, if the Nets have a healthy James Harden, we know the talent that they have. I understand it. But without James Harden, put some respect on the Milwaukee Bucks.
I'm glad you brought this up because everyone watching this game is going to talk about how they left Giannis around to shoot, and Giannis could dominate their bigs, but it was Middleton who took over and helped them pull away in the fourth, and it was Holiday, 23 points, 10 assists, and the game was still sort of in the balance at the end. Kyrie Irving's dribbling up the floor. What's Holiday do? Give me the ball, steals it from him, and the Bucks get the win. However, Jalen, watching this, and now the Sixers have a 1.5 game lead over the Nets for the top seed. Watching this, I'm still picking the Nets in a 7-game series against the Bucks. This is going to be a second-round matchup. This is going to be a second-round matchup. I would still take the Nets, even without James Harden, in a 7-game series against these Bucks. All that being said, but this is, you know what? They're playing chess, not checkers. They're trying to avoid the Knicks in the second round. That's all you're trying to do. I said it before, I'm going to say it again. They're trying to avoid the Knicks in the second round. That is why they're allowing the 76ers to have the top seed. And I like this matchup for the Nets. They don't have anybody that can stop Giannis. Well, guess what? The Bucks don't have anybody that can stop Kevin Durant. So we'll see what happens down the road when these two meet in the playoffs. But Jalen, there's something else going on with the Nets and the Knicks. The Nets are a little intimidated. The Nets know that the Knicks have this city's heart because James Harden doctored a New Yorker cover, because this is the cover of the New Yorker, a prestigious magazine that I don't read but my wife does. And I was surprised I saw this in the house. He took the Knicks out of it. He took the Knicks out of it. That just shows that he knows that he needs to make a statement to the city that the Knicks don't exist, but the city loves the Knicks so much more than the Nets. Your thoughts, Mr. Rose?
My thoughts is the Nets haven't played one complete season with their big three and are already the second most popular team in New York City. Just think about it. When they put this big three together, we talked about having KD, having Kyrie, and then having James Harden join the squad, how they would just now grab the city. Everybody that we brought on the show, can this be a Nets town? Can this be a Nets town? And then you know what happened? Julius Randle.
Yep.
You know what happened?
RJ
Derrick
Barrett.
Rose. You know? Yep. And then all of a sudden, Tom Thibodeau has a team that Jacoby, as a die-easy fan, wants the Nets to try to think they're going to avoid in the second round because he loves the New York Knickerbockers so very much.
Until they start losing the playoff series, and I'll jump off the bandwagon so fast. While we talk about how the playoffs are...
They need all three guys to be healthy because it thinned out the roster a bit. But more than any of that, guys, KD and Kyrie have now played, 20 games together, 20-something games together. They're right around 500 when they're both on the floor. when they're both on the court and they play in that game. Without Harden, they're around 500. With James Harden, they almost never lose. They're 27-7 with Harden. Not with Harden and both guys, just with Harden. They have a winning percentage, yeah, you can round it up around 80%. They win around 4 out of every 5 games. They're 4-1 in every 5 games. You know what that means in a playoff series? It's a gentleman's sweep. Well, you're playing better teams. I saw James Harden go out west by himself and beat good Western Conference teams just with Kyrie. I saw when Kyrie wasn't playing, Harden rolled out of bed, showed up fat and out of shape, looking like a hot mess, and was walking triple-double with 30 points in wins with just KD. So with Harden, this team, a big three is healthy with James Harden. No one's going to beat them. Without James Harden, they will not get out of the East. Kendrick Perkins muted, apparently.
I'm not hearing Kendrick Perkins. Max, I don't think you are either.
I'm not trying to hear Kendrick Perkins. He knows I'm right.
All right. Anything else you want to add quickly, and then we'll go to commercial break and work on getting Kendrick back.
I want to hear what Kendrick Perkins has to say. Of course, big perk, but I'll say this. James Harden's play this year, he's won an MVP, he's a perennial MVP candidate. It was not certain how he would exist in that backcourt with Kyrie Irving.
Yep.
They were incredible. And he is the reason that they are impossible to beat. With James Harden and Kyrie and KD all healthy, this will be the greatest offense in the history of American team sports by far. That's how much James Harden means to this team. Without James Harden, they're not going to get by Philadelphia. Look, there's no stopping KD, but you got 2 great defenders in Thibault and obviously Ben Simmons that you can use. And we saw what the Bucks did. Look, KD and Kyrie both went for over 30. They had control of the game kind of late, and then the Bucks took them out. That's the second time in a row the Bucks have beaten them.
Yeah, Chris Middleton had a great game, too. Let me ask you this, why we're waiting here for Kendrick Perkins to dial back in and get this tech stuff working. The one thing that surprised me about your answer is in the past you've been very critical of Harden, especially in the playoffs. So I understand we have Perk back, but why has that tune changed for you where he's the guy? That's a great question, because Harden doesn't have to take the big shot on this team. That may relax him enough that he can do it and do it successfully, but he's got KD and Kyrie for crunch time if he needs them. So you're confident he'll show up. Got it. Very. Perk, where are you on this?
Well, I respectfully disagree with Max, okay? And look, even with James Harden, I still got Philly coming out of the Eastern Conference. I'm not going to overreact from what I saw with the Milwaukee Bucks and the Brooklyn Nets, because we saw this in the with the Milwaukee Bucks time and time again, where they showed up and they dominated the regular season and fell short in the postseason. You have Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, a 2-time Finals MVP, and Kyrie Irving, a guy that hit one of the biggest shots in NBA history and Finals history, on the same team together. They should be able to come out of the East. Hell, they better come out of the East with or without James Harden, because they chose to team up together. Now, Molly, Max, here's the problem what I have with you, Max, is that you flip-flop so much. It is so irritating, because it was 3-4 months ago, this same question was asked about who is the most important piece on this Brooklyn Nets team. You didn't say Kevin Durant. You didn't say Kyrie Irving. You didn't say James Harden. You know who you said? You said DeAndre Jordan. Right. You said DeAndre Jordan defense. In his own record. In his own record, because I actually agreed with you and said that he is the missing piece. But you said that, and now you flip-flopping and saying that it's James Harden. And 3 or 4 months ago, you said that it was DeAndre Jordan. I'm going to address that. I'm going to address that right now, because I want to go see you down in Beaumont or wherever you want to take me. Look, I'll go see Kendrick Peoples. Look, the bottom line is the Nets had the worst defense of all time. Just like I said they're going to have the best offense of all time, they literally, measurably had the worst defense of all time in the history of basketball, history of the NBA. So at that point, given the roster, I thought the guy who needs to step up to make this even an okay defense is DeAndre Jordan. At that moment, I thought it was true, and he started to do it. And then Claxton came back, and Claxton has to do it, and they got some bodies. Aldridge had to retire, but they have Blake. They have some bigger bodies, and they started quickly, much quicker than I thought.
playing solid kind of mid-pack defense, which is, as you pointed out, Perk, all they needed to do. When you say I flip-flop, if by that you mean I adjust my opinion to new evidence, then you are correct. That's right. If there is new evidence, I adjust my opinion. That is true. What do you do?
You know what, Max? I will say this. I will say this about the Brooklyn Nets, right? And what they did in the past 2 games against the Milwaukee Bucks. When you get toward the end of the season, and it's a team that you could possibly face that is going to be in your way and stopping you to getting to your goal, which is the winning the championship, and you're at the end of the season, you don't want to give them no hope. You don't want to give them no confidence. And right now, the Milwaukee Bucks got confidence. Giannis, he has confidence to actually beat the Brooklyn Nets. So I will say right now the Brooklyn Nets should have concerns, but they weren't my pick anyway. I still got the 76ers to come out of the Eastern Conference. So neither here nor there with or without James Harden. My pick is the 76ers, and I'm
with
not
James Harden. With James Harden, just mark my words. James Harden gets healthy. Not only do the 76ers not have a chance, there's not a team in the NBA capable of taking the Nets 7 games in a series. Not one.
And Molly, he don't have to come to Beaumont, Texas to visit me. I'll fly to New York and make Max smell my cologne. Issey Miyake or Barn number 9.
Long as you wear a lot of it, Perk. I don't know about that
what
beard.
else?
That's not easy to keep clean. Let's be honest.
Oh, my goodness. So fresh and
you
so
use
clean.
shampoo in that, or what do you do with that?
These are out of control. All right, I'm being told we have to go. I'm getting distracted by this conversation here. Big Perk, I understand you got a list for us, kind of like a Stephen A's list. I cannot wait for that. About to school some folks. Perk will be back. We got some NFL to get into now, though, so we'll say goodbye to you for a moment. Wait till you hear what accomplishment Tom would trade 2 of his Super Bowl